Hello everyone and welcome to this video on Apple Classroom. This is for people who have updated their app to the newest version of Apple Classroom and therefore are getting a display screen that's slightly different to the one in the guide. Now, this Apple Classroom is almost exactly the same in terms of its functionality, it's just that it looks a little bit different. So we're going to make sure that you know where everything is. Just a reminder that in order for Apple Classroom to work, both the teacher device and the pupil's devices must be logged in to their managed Apple ID provided to them and to you by Connected Falkirk. So if we tap on the app then to open it, what we're going to see is that this first screen looks almost identical to what it has looked like before. We can press the plus, or in the top right hand corner we can add a new class just by tapping and filling in the details as we have before. So we've got the class name and we also have the ability to select our location. Now remember, the location is based on your base establishment. Once you've done that, you're going to tap on Done and it's going to create a new class for you. Now if we go into the current class that we've already got and we've used previously, we can see we've got Jane and Joe as usual, but you can see it looks very, very different to what it used to look like. We're going to start in the top left hand corner then and just go across all these icons at the top and make sure that we know what's happening. So starting at the top left then, we have the toggle sidebar view. Now all of our groups are now in this grey sidebar, so you can see that we have all students and we also have the groupings based on the app that the student is in. Now if I want to get rid of this, all I do is tap on the little icon that toggles the sidebar on and off as so. This is also now where we would create a new group. So if I tap on the bottom right, you'll see it lets me add a new group. I'll call this group A. And it automatically gives me the little bubbles where I can tap on them to add individual students. That then lets me create different groups for the different groups I have in my class. And if I just tap through the groups here on the sidebar, you'll see that the different students that are associated with each group will appear as expected. Now, in the top right hand corner of the sidebar, if I tap Edit, that's where I'm going to be able to change my custom groups. I can delete things, I can move things around, rename things, so on and so forth. So that's the groups sidebar. I'm just going to toggle it off just now and we'll move to the next one. So this is a sort of stacked icon, and this is where we would open young people into a particular app. So just as before, we've got all the app choices. I also have the choice to lock them in after opening as before. It works exactly the same. Moving to the next icon then, we have the little compass, and that is to navigate, and just as before I can navigate to books or web pages that I've saved in Safari. I can also lock them in just as it always has been. Now the next coloured icon across the top, we're on the right hand side now, and we've got 4 little circles or 4 little squares, and what that does is that changes our view from icon view to screen view, and I can use my fingers just to pinch to make the screens larger or smaller, just as we had with screen view before. The next button is probably the biggest change, and that's the ellipsis, and that is going to give us more options, and most importantly, this is where we find a lot of the functionality that we have been used to having previously across the top bar of Classroom. So you can see here, this is where I can add students, I can remove students, and then in the next sort of group of boxes we have 2 greyed out ones, connect and disconnect. Nothing to worry about there just now. That is a new feature of Classroom which allows for remote Apple Classroom, but we're not going to focus on that just now. We're going to get to that at a later date. Then in the third set of boxes we have the tools that we know and love from previous Apple Classroom: lock, hide and mute. And of course, finally, in red at the bottom there, we have end class. Remember, it's always a good idea to end your class after every session with them, particularly if you're in secondary. It just keeps your Apple Classroom right, it keeps their Apple Classroom right, and it also gives you that summary. Now remember, anything that we press in here is going to be applied to the entire grouping. So if I press on lock, that is going to lock all of the students' iPads. If I press on hide, that's going to take them all back to their home screen, and if I press on mute, it's going to mute all of their devices. Just as before, if we want to apply one of these settings to just one pupil, we would tap on that pupil's either screen or icon, and you'll see we have all the options available to apply to just one student device. So there we have it then, that is the new layout of Apple Classroom. As you can see, it works almost exactly the same. It has all the same functionality, it's just that things are in different places to where they used to be. My advice would be is that if this is a bit confusing and you're not really sure what's going on, go back to the guide in the Connected Falkirk Glow blog, and that will give you all of the information that you need about the different functionality. This video really was just for if your Apple Classroom doesn't look like the initial guide videos, but everything works pretty much the same.